So I felt it would be really useful to invite people who actually own a brokerage, who sell real estate, and let them kind of tell you how they've applied not only my teaching, but all the teaching that they've accumulated over the years. So with that in mind, I want to introduce Michael and Beth Silva from Happen Houston. Welcome to the session, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I cannot see you now, and I don't know why, but that's okay. I know what you look like. Just to start, just to get it out of the way, you guys were clients of ours a year ago, and it was through that engagement that we really created a wonderful friendship out of it. But I asked you to come here because I really feel like the two of you are very special. I know that when I first met you, Beth told me that you guys were special and different. And I didn't quite believe that. Boy, was I wrong. So without further ado, maybe you guys could just give us a little bit of background, just like on who you are, how old you are, where you live, where you work, stuff like that.
Yeah, go ahead. I am Beth Silva. Michael and I have been married for 7 years. We live, both born and raised in Houston, which is where we live currently. We have 2 young boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, who keep us insanely busy and humbled every day with the things that come out of their mouth. We've been working together for the past 8.5 years. And we'll be the first to tell you that it hasn't always been pretty, but it's definitely something that we wake up and choose every day and work really hard to enjoy, knowing that this is the only life we get, and so making the most of it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's such a unique situation, and Marc, you and I have talked and texted about this before, but it's just it's a really cool situation to be, partners in marriage and business and parenting. And I always tell some of the younger guys at our company who might follow a similar path one day. It's like, look, man, marriage, if it was I use a lot of sports analogies. So if marriage is a sport, it's a team sport. So it's been an awesome ride. And like Beth said, we're the first to tell people, even when we just deal with people our age or just in casual conversation, or if they're asking, how's it been working with each other? And it's, in the beginning, especially, it was not easy at all. But we pushed through and we didn't give up on each other, and we never will. So
I've got to really witness your dynamic, and you definitely have very clear, distinct roles. And I do want to get I think it's important because like how you structured your then team when we met and now your brokerage is actually a critical component in your success. But I want to start where why real estate? I think you two guys could run any business successfully that you decided to run, and you now run 2 companies successfully. But you really are smart enough and creative enough to do anything. Why did you choose real estate?
Real estate chose me. I have a background in dental and did not have any desire to get into dentistry. Was actually approached by a dentist that I was seeing just for my routine care. And he was saying, hey, move back. I was in LA at the time. He was like, hey, move back to Houston, start my dental practice, run my dental practice. I was like, I know nothing about dentistry. He's like, you don't need to know anything about dentistry. You have all that it takes. So that's kind of been my experience. He was a younger, kind of very similar to Michael and I in age. So at the time he was 32, 33. Michael and I are both 36. And really kind of took a chance on some younger kids who expressed desire to run businesses. So those are a lot of things that I kind of took away from it. As things shifted with the dental practice, it started with 1, I grew it to 5. He kind of ran it to the ground. I was like, see ya, I'm young, I got lots ahead of me. That's when I met Michael. And, I'm super type A, I'm a Virgo, so lots of organization. And you know, that is where I thrive, is that structure, understanding processes, systems, and putting them into place, not necessarily being the physical driver of them. And where Michael was in his career, which I'll let you kind of take over from there.
Yeah, and I think too, like, Beth, I remember attending just one like conference with her and her company at that time, and it was cool to see like just the amount of respect that everyone in all those different offices and different positions, from the doctors to the admin, had for her, and just the way that she managed just all the different locations and personalities. And they all had just this, mutual love and admiration for her, which was awesome. And so anyway, one thing led to another, and I was about 3 years into the business, the real estate business. And, she had things that she was, let's put it this way, like she all of a sudden became available. And I was like, Beth, I really need help. And I think that we should try to do this together.
I was crying. I got fired from a job and I was crying. And he's like, wash your face. I'm really busy today.
I was like, I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. We've got a lot of work to do. And that was it. And so it was cool. She really started to introduce just a lot of organization and structure, which is where I was lacking, early on. And started treating it like a physician's office. And she was being exposed to all the conversations and the different buyers and sellers and builders that I was working with. And she essentially treated it the same way that I did, with which I'll touch on in a bit, just the mentorship that I had. And she just listened and asked all the right questions and took notes, and didn't ever really make the same mistake twice, and didn't even ask the same question twice. And from that point on, and I'll just kind of fast forward, but she just all of a sudden, like, she was in this support role of bringing different systems, procedures, and structures to my business, which was amazing. But then all of a sudden she just kind of blossomed like into this like creative side. I would bring her into meetings with builders or developers, and she would just kind of take over planning and design. And she had just really good input on selections, colors, light fixtures. So it was funny because when I look back at it, I'm like, how was I doing that without her? Because I'm just not talented there at all. Like, I'm more black and white, data driven, deal with the personalities. But with the interesting shift, which maybe we'll get into later, is when she introduced that structure and organization, I actually became obsessed with that. And then that's where I just started spending the majority of my time. So
I also never had the desire to be the leader. I didn't want to be the forward-facing agent. I liked being able to connect people to Michael and still give them access to him without him physically needing to be there. Being able to clearly communicate, build the trust, build the relationships, because I was able to follow through and execute on what Michael was, discussing and implementing with each of his clients individually.
Gotcha. So I'm thinking, like, in a world where all agents, they complete their license and they enter into real estate, each one possesses their own unique abilities and skills. Beth, you had this sort of creative, process-driven mindset. Michael, you were very data-driven, organized in that fashion. But like every other agent, you kind of start off on equal ground. None of you have any clients. You have to go out and figure out like how to make it happen. But then something happens amidst that equality. Some agents just end up accelerating, just much higher and faster than others. And I want to unpack that a little bit. When you guys got into the space, like, just take the audience through maybe some of the things or the people, or like what influenced you, what inspired you. I'm really trying to dig into like what makes you tick. Because what we can tell the audience is like, you guys sell a lot of real estate, and you have not been doing this that long. So let's go back to that sort of moment in time when like you decided to bring certain things into your world and take it and use it? And what were those things?
Sure. I'll let you start out. Just kind of.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think first things first, as far as like, I mean, one of the things I didn't even really know when, well, Beth hardly ever touches on it either, but she grew up in, number one, a great family, and as did I. But her family ran a really successful,
Still does.
and still do, just family owned and operated business, and it was on the smaller side, but as far as body count, but just what they were able to accomplish in their industry, and still recognized as one of the most reputable names in the business. Yeah, that's what she grew up around. So that was awesome too. Like, I mean, this was never
It made it
orchestrated.
easier for me to kind of dig in and support and just do what it took, because I have seen the fruits of the labor of something that if someone has a true skill set, passion, desire, whatever it may be, because it does look different for everyone, being able to support that, knowing that, ultimately Michael had, my best interest at heart, it was really easy to just kind of take the back seat and do what it is that he needed to get done. Michael also, one of the things that I admire the most about him is that he's never afraid to say, I don't know, and to kind of seek out the advice, the help of others. And so early on, he brought to the table a business practice, business coach, business advisor, whatever it is that you may, because he understood, I think, the importance of the true role that he was in, because we talk about it, real estate sales is a little bit of a tricky word, something that we've always kind of struggled with, because that would imply that you have a product, a tangible thing that you are selling to somebody, versus an advisory role of it giving and guiding someone through such an important decision for whatever reason it may be, because everybody's interest in real estate are very different. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it was cool because Beth, and I think this could be, it doesn't necessarily need to be a married couple. We just so happen to be a married couple that works together. But even if it was just a business partner, as Beth mentioned, yes, I had a relationship with more of like an advisory and executive coaching practice, right? So it would focus on improving team dynamics. It would focus on or find ways to grow revenue, looking at ways to create just positive work-life balance. Whereas something I had never been exposed to really was like a therapist, and she was like, hey, I think that if we're going to work together, we should use the business coach and we should see a therapist, and we should do that consistently, and let's just be proactive about it. So we really didn't want to screw it up. So right from the beginning, we kind of implemented those third parties to kind of keep us in check. And that really, paid dividends. But, for me, you said just unpacking a little bit more. I was and I tell people this, anybody that asks me just my experience in real estate, or, how did it happen, or how did it happen so quickly? I was so fortunate, and it's a shame because more people are not exposed to what I was in my very early years. And that was just an amazing agent who, actually he called, I was working his open houses in year one, and he was like, hey, I'm seeing that you're working these open houses every weekend, 2-3 of them. Would you ever consider coming to work here? And fast forward, ended up saying yes, but he's still one of the best agents in the city. But I don't know, he saw something in me early on, and said, look, if you just sit and listen and take good notes, I think you can really do well in this business. And I also loved his style too. I mean, he was just more of an introverted character. There was people I remember referring to him as like the Phantom. Because you never saw him anywhere, but you would see his signs everywhere. And, I was really drawn to that style and it's still very much how I operate. I mean, you don't have to attend social events. You don't have to be at every cocktail hour. You don't have to be so loud on social media. You don't even have to have a social media. And still to this day, I don't. It was just really introducing me to the basics and more advanced conversations with buyers, sellers, builders, developers, and just research and how to look at the market and just things that I don't know where, I don't know. It seems like there's so many different directions that people try to pull you in this business, and it's not focusing on actually what we should be to really facilitate the transaction the correct way. And that was what I was exposed to very early on. And I'm just so thankful for that mentorship. But we've talked about this before, Mark, too. It's like, it's one thing to have an opportunity like that, and it's another to recognize it and be coachable. And,
That's, yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, to me, again, back to a sports analogy, like my favorite coach in the NBA, Greg Popovich, he's never played an NBA game. My favorite player, Tim Duncan, one of them, because everybody will say he goes down in history as one of the most coachable players ever. So he was always extracting anything that he could from his team. And it was a group first mentality. And what's good for the group is going to be good for me. And that I got a lot of that early on, in addition to the analytics, in addition to how to search, in addition to how to talk to a buyer and seller, in addition to how to carry out a transaction, in addition to how to represent a builder or developer super early. And that's what I'm excited about now with this, small little boutique brokers that we're piecing together now. It's like I get to pay that forward, and we're already seeing it in the numbers with some of our year 1-2 agents. They're averaging 50% year over year, some of them as high as 80 and 109%. And these are guys that haven't been in the business long at all. So now I get to provide that, but with my own style. So.
Wow. Boy, there's a lot there that I would like to address and talk about specifically, and there's not a lot of time, and I do want to move on, but one thing that's important is that in a world where social media has become such a topic, to where it feels like that is the only medium by which you as a real estate person can get the word out. That was one of the things that really blew our minds when we met you guys, is you have no social media presence whatsoever. And you guys do more sales than most agents we've ever met. So there just goes to prove that there is another way in which you can build a business, and in sort of a softer, quieter, smarter way. So, all right, so, we met a year ago, and that meeting was really, Beth, you called me and you asked if we could come on board and help a small little team. And I was like, I think we're going to be way more than a small little team really needs. And you schooled me really quick on that. And what a benefit that's been to my company and my life. But on paper, you guys had it all. You had amazing leadership, you had a vision, you had systems, you had people, you had a process, you had a killer service product. Because maybe there is, not to disagree, but like maybe the one product real estate people have is their service, or the way they think and bring people through a transaction. You guys had it all. I mean, you had a business. Why did you feel like you needed, because this topic is about branding, so we need to segue into it. What made you guys think you needed to hire a brand agency when arguably you already had name recognition, you had a reputation, you pretty much had it all? Why invest in going to the brand level?
Well, words matter, and Michael and I are not great with words. We are great with process and systems, and ensuring that we didn't have to then start speaking, that the messaging and the things that our clients who worked with us were exposed to was then communicated. Real estate is kind of old and stuffy and pantyhose and suits, and we were finding a lot of our clients liked Michael's a little bit more approachable way about it, and trying to kind of shake things up and making sure that we were still regarded as serious. was really important. So serious to the fact that anytime we had calls with you guys, Michael made sure I sat out of the frame, because when you came down for Discovery Day and I'm 9 months pregnant, I gave birth to our second child 10 days later, he didn't want you guys to think that we were distracted. And I think that that little piece shows how important and how respected we know that good brands are. And in order to get a good brand, we had to work with the best company.
Yeah,
it was really easy.
To me too, it's like, I think it's different in every market, but just in Houston, it was, I didn't want to be Michael Silva real estate, or I didn't want it to be like, I'm not that type of person. I don't like the spotlight. I hate going to award ceremonies or anything like that. Don't write about me. Don't think about me. Like, I'm okay with all of that. It's also too, like, the way I saw it was, when we're dealing with a client, like, we are extremely thorough, as Beth mentioned, like, words matter. So every text that is sent, every email that's sent, every phone call that we have, like, there's a lot of prep that goes into that to ensure that, number one, we're given the best advice possible, but two, also make it as efficient as possible and get the right message across to where it's truly keeping their interests at the forefront, right? And it was kind of that was my mindset, as far as like, okay, well, we're going to go out, we're going to be this company, like, we need to do it right. So there must be some sort of work that needs to be done up front, and that work needs to be done very thoroughly. And we were not going to be capable of doing that on our own. So
no.
Through a lot of research, that's where I found you guys. And then I just kind of became obsessed. Like, I remember tracking down every article and video, and I was like, I know that we're a fit for these people. And then
we had a working document, and every day at the top of the working document would say 1,000 watt. And the girls and we would look at each other and we're like, we are way too small for them. Delete. And then the next day it would be there again. And then the next day, and he's like, I just need you to call them. And Michael was traveling out of town, and I was like, okay, now that he has gotten me to the point where I'm actually calling them, now I have to deliver and bring 1,000 watt to him. So Marc, whenever you said, just keep on doing what you guys are doing, I was like, no, we don't want to. That's why I'm on the phone with you. Like, we didn't want to do what was,
just the norm.
The norm. Michael really exposed, through my desire to create, and, through that, like, to do something new. There was also a good opportunity here in Houston to do something new. We felt like our clients and the city was really showing us that they were ready for something a little bit newer. And then really, kind of back to the way that we were set up was, he brought it to us, and now we need to get it and see it through to the end so that he can continue to do what he does well, and that's transact.
Yeah, I think the last thing I would say is, it's kind of like the social media thing. It's like, it's easy to go do that, and it's easy to be like everyone else. And you can get all of this branding done very cheaply, and a quick logo and copy, and, make a business Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And just be like everyone else and do what everyone else is doing. And for us, that wasn't going to be acceptable. And it wasn't like we were trying to put all this, have this premium brand because we wanted to be the biggest company in Houston. That's not it at all. We just wanted to be the best. And we wanted people to recognize us as like quality individuals that provide quality service and really trusted advisors. So there was years of just experience and scenarios and things that we had been through in the business that we wanted extracted and just kind of formatted in a certain way by the best in the industry. So
we reference our brand guidelines every day.
Yeah.
Every single day. If we don't have the right words to say, we're going back and reading through. And if as a group, we're kind of working through a challenge, we go back, we read our manifesto, who we are, and kind of recenter and refocus our thought process on what got us here in the first place. And that was good, clean business.
I was going to ask you, like, of all the work, like, what was there's only a few minutes left, but out of all the work, like, again, for the audience, what would you say was like the most salient component of the work that really kind of like helps you go from, because at the time you were just a small team, now you're your own brokerage. What could you drill down to, like maybe the one critical component that really gives you the most lift and the most benefit on a day-to-day? Is it that brand guideline manual?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because I think it always assists in decision making. So whether it's a decision with the inner workings of the team, or if things get uneasy with the group or the company, or there's a decision that needs to be made within the company to advance whatever, what to do with a buyer or seller or builder or developer, whether or not to bring someone on, if it's someone who's interested coming, are they the right fit? Marketing and advertising, social media, if you're letting your ego get in the way of a decision, refer back. Like if you sense that, then refer back to the work that you accomplished with you guys, which was a good 5-6 months or more. So there was a lot of time taken out, and it gives you a quick red light, green light. So, and I think the same could be said for whether it was that coaching, practice or a therapist. It's like you're putting in the work to go better yourself. So refer back to that work and what you took out of it to make that decision, whether it's personally or professionally. So,
yeah. People are emailing or chatting wanting to see the work. I'm hesitant to have them. I don't want you to show it, like that stuff. And here's why, because it's yours. And it'll be too easy for people to go, oh, that's well written. I think I'm going to use that for me.
yeah.
But it's not their work. It's your work. It wouldn't describe them. And so, I mean, you can choose to do something different.
I'm not gonna
I was gonna say that's Michael's like.
I only
That's his
carry a
thing.
paper copy around. I don't
He
even pass
does.
around.
Yeah. So you guys know we can talk forever. I do want to leave the audience with, like, you can go to our website, 1000watt.net /teams. There's a team program that we've built because of you guys. We never worked with teams before. Beth, you changed our business. And Michael, you changed me. And as a result, like, we had no idea. We thought we would just be too much. And as a result of this work, we realized we need to do more than what we were doing to make it right for teams. Last question. Are you guys doing okay? Everybody fine at home and businesses okay?
Yeah, we're healthy and grateful for that. It's been really cool to spend some of these formative years so close with our boys. And just what that bond and that opportunity, and really trying to seize it, as opposed to look at the challenges of, I'm very shocked that neither of them have banged on the door during this. And just really counting our blessings.
Yeah, we are doing good. And yeah, like Beth said, and you and I have texted about this before, Mark. We'll go to bed every night. I'm like, man, it's a good thing we met. Like, we got a really good thing, and we're going to keep it up. So
same here. The friendship that has come from that has been precious. I'm getting signal that we have to close it out. Any last thing you guys just want to share with the agents and teams and brokers that are online?
Yeah, sure. Not only did we hire 1000 Watt for Happen Houston, but we also own and operate a construction company, which we hired them again to brand our construction company, which is Harvard Homes, and they did a spectacular job. So Mark, I can't thank you and you guys and your team enough for just kind of that work that you put in, giving us a shot. And like you said, what an amazing friendship and even working relationship it's been ever since. And just so thankful that our paths crossed.
Same. Well, this sounds like a commercial for us. It wasn't.
I know you told me not to do that, but I don't care.
You, not us. But if anybody wants to reach out to you guys, you want to share your address?
Yeah, they could just reach out to my inbox or info. Yeah, let's just do info at happenhouston.com so we don't bog down the work address.
I just published it. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Love, peace, be safe.
Bye, Mark. It's great to meet you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.